Hello, and welcome to another daily dose of the Animus, part 11, which I'd like to call the Dear Twitch stream. And there's so much I have to say about such a lovely company, powerful, talented, entertaining gaming entity known as Twitch. And I'm going to do my best to do something that I know so many in the Twitch business side want, and is to give you the most family friendly, unvulgarity experience thus far. But I do have some things that I want to say, and I'm going to say them while I nom 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 on some delicious nom 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 snacks. So, I've got a hat trick of snacks today. We've got more puff snacks, or alleged kind of like Rice Crisp things. I don't know if it's like puffy or not, but I also have popcorn, some spicy popcorn, and I got some beef jerky. Cause I don't know, why not? So why don't we start with the popcorn? And let me take you down a road that I've been on. Get your popcorn ready. And I'd love to name drop some of these brands that I'm eating, and I do my best to try to allude to them. But at the same time, I'd also like to, have some good faith contracts put forth for my talents with their wonderful products. So I try not to name drop the products I eat, but at the same time, I do want to promote things that I find delicious. So sometimes I kind of give, some idea of what I'm eating, but I'm still an available free agent advertising entity entertainer. So I hope nobody in the product world finds that offensive. I do hope you understand. Now, I would like to say that after, it was 2016, 2017, when Twitch began their affiliate program, which would make it how many years? About 5, 6, 7, 8 years? I don't know the exact day, but I think it was April or May in 2016. Maybe in 2015. Could be 2015. I think it was 2016 when the affiliate program began. And I was one of the first people in the first, or I should say when I say I'm one of the first people, within the first month. And I've been a gamer my whole life. Popcorn's not bad. Not too spicy. Light on the fiery. It says fiery, but more spicy. More like a light seasoning. And at the time, I was hardcore into World of Tanks on console, where, by the way, I really was one of the top console players. I believe there were other console players playing in the Southern California area who were also very competitive like me, and amongst the top players in the game. And the one wargaming event that I went to, which was in San Diego, still is it was a very cool event. Took place on an aircraft carrier. It was very cool. It was done right. Could have lasted 2 days, to be honest with you. And when I game competitively, I get fierce, man. I want to do the best. I want to finish the best. I want to place high. I want to be relied on as a strong player. And there was a time believe it or not, I know this is unbelievable to many of you who've kept up with my content. There was a time where I was, some referred to as I would get salty or angry or frustrated, and I would trash talk a lot. Rightfully so, after everything I've been through, I think. But at the same time, there's also this community of gamers who's like trying to like create competitive gaming, and they want like family friendly style, even if there's adult aspect to it. And I've always been somebody who's kind of like pushed like more adult content, more adult conversation. And what does that even mean, adult conversation? I guess that means just no restrictions on being able to what to say. As an American, that's important to me. Growing up under the circumstances that I grew up under, with my mom and her work being closely associated to like a risky job post a terrorism attack. My mom worked in the airline industry, flight attendant. So, and she was a single mother, raised me as a single mom. Both my parents were around, but so I had a lot of independence, and I also grew up kind of like on the internet, and I valued my freedom. I valued my expression. I valued my ability to be and talk and do and create like adults. And then I became an adult, went to college, became a competitive gamer while also being a competitive athlete in actual sports. And although some people might view it as a bad part of my past, I view it as a good part of my past because there's so much in the gaming world that can trigger people and can psychologically mess with people. And I truly believe, after so many decades of gaming, there's got to be enough research into psychological conditioning, into psychological gaming, into teamwork, into friendship, into working together to win and achieve goals. And then there's this other element where like I'm sure people in the military and like other aspects of the world like try to use that same concept, and it's like these divides of like people who just want a game to have fun or game to create content versus people who are like trying to recruit. And I'm almost certain that during my experience on World of Tanks, being has a military theme, people being recruited into the military, I have no doubt that there are elements of the military that intervened or intruded into the video game world. Even Hollywood, I think post 9/11, I think people like the Marines dipped their toes into like Hollywood in ways that most people don't even realize. And I think there's a lot of military intrusion in American life that would surprise people, but at the same time, America's supposed to be, it's not supposed to be a military industrial complex. It's supposed to be a place of free individualism. And so many people push this idea of community. The idea of these philosophies and these faiths that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and survived and fought and lived and died to create their version of whatever it is that they're trying to do. But here in America, this 300-year-old, was it almost 300-year-old little child of an idea is supposed to support the idea of individualism and non-oppression towards individuals in ways that other ideas haven't been able to do. There have been democracies, but democracy supporting the idea of independence and freedom for the individual, I guess, is still one of those newer ones. And I'm like, well, what is individualism supposed to how is it supposed to look in America? You all have this idea of community, you all have this idea of et cetera, et cetera, but what isn't it supposed to be like when an individual is supposed to have success, And then Twitch comes along and buys up Justin TV, and in a very short amount of time, I don't know if it was before, after, or during the time that Amazon purchased Twitch as a parent company, but made so much money in a very, very short amount of time in a gaming world that was truly blossoming into a behemoth of an industry. And during that time, you know, I was a console gamer, not PC. I only had so much funds as a college student. I wasn't in a wealthy per se family. Could have my financial situation been better planned? Sure. You know, but at the same time, could my support have been crafted differently? Absolutely. But am I supposed to have support, or am I supposed to do it all as an individual? And I think there's a lot of people who just live in these communities, whether it's military, religion, government, just whatever else there is, you know, the socialists, the communists, the democracies, the Republicans, the Democrats. And it's just like, where is the individual supposed to exist in these scenarios in America? There's still supposed to be the idea that the individual exists, and I think that's where my story got caught up in. And for some reason, I think I was supposed to have a lot more success, especially business wise, than I have up to this point, instead of being led down some kind of struggle path of homelessness and financial income related to business and work. Because that's really what it's come down to. I'm a 35-year-old person who's dealt with homelessness since 2019, and I've been trying to break out, in income wise, in an industry which has been making hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's hard to think that I haven't been noticed, and it's hard to think that there aren't people out there who could have treated my situation better. And that's honestly, it doesn't make me angry, but it's been frustrating over the years, many, many years of knowing that people have been keeping me in this circle of streamers. I've been in. I know for a fact I'm inside the circle. There's a lot of people who are streaming content. And that's another thing. It's like, well, who's in circle, who's out of the circle, and then when you're in the circle, how do you decide who gets money? Is there really just illicit ways that people are making money, and is it kind of like hard to talk about, or do you just have to like figure out better ways to create careers and employment paths for actual content creators and artists, independent contracts? And, I definitely felt like I've been neglected over the years, but at the same time, I haven't given up. I've been through a lot. My people tried to set me up for things like to fail, and people tried to set me up to fail in life so many times, and I've overcome those challenges. And I don't want to say that this should be the standard for other people. I don't think people should have to climb these kind of mountains just to have success in this kind of world. But I know there's a lot of streamers out there, and how do you define the people who are supposed to make an income versus the people who are supposed to just do it for fun and a hobby? So I've been an affiliate for 8 years. Some people are a partner like very soon after they join, and let's be honest, some people who become partners, you've you've joined this family of gamers and this streamer community based off of a network that was created off of social networking, when things like MySpace and Facebook were around. So a lot of people know how to create this community and this network digitally, and then there are people who are still kind of like myself, who's been around, who's been connected, but hasn't like taken advantage of some of the networking. But at the same time, I'm also like, I'm on like my own individual path. Does that mean I'm supposed to suffer more or suffer, differently than other people to try to get, claim my mountain, claim my arena, claim my dominance, you know? It definitely was not fiery hot popcorn. It was a little spicy, a little heat, like low heat. So I would rename the fiery hot. Or maybe it just needs more seasoning. I don't know. But it was good. Good popcorn. I like popcorn. Now we're going to move on to some beef jerky. A little bit more chewy. So, in this part 11 episode of the Animus, I want to assassinate what's been going on in the right way, but also represent the fact that I can be someone who's, business friendly. I don't have to just be an artist that can only be funded by other artists who want to support the dream, and doing this gaming thing really has been a dream for me. It really has. Not just being the streamer, but like actually making like an income off, a livable income off of it. An actual livable income. This is supposed to be original flavor with a smoky flavor added. And I know all it takes is one financial donor to be able to change my entire outlook on things. But at the same time, do I not want to build like a community of people? And that's a good question. It's like, am I better off being funded by one business or company to create content that I want? Or am I better off trying to be funded by lots of people who want to support the ideas and concepts that I have as an entertainer streamer? As an internet, or as I like to refer to it as, internet personality, because that's really what I feel is most appropriate to refer. I'm like an internet personality. You know. And then you add into the fact that this whole gaming thing is world. You know, China's got the biggest gaming market. America's second. Many other countries are also up there. You know, it's an international affair, and like these other countries have other standards of what content is or what entertainment is. And not only that, they're having so much success that they're competing with things like Hollywood. People have so much time to spend in the day. You know, people work, and then they spend time at home, and they you know, who's going to want to spend their time watching this person or watching this show? You know, it's 24 hours in a day. Most people work, 6 to 8 hours in a day? You sleep about, I don't know, most people probably sleep about 6 to 8 hours. So you add that together, and you got about 14 to 16 hours in a 24-hour day. So that leaves about 8 hours in the day for people to choose their free time with. I mean, just making it very general and vague. Are people watching me? You know, do people want to watch me, and feel like they have to? You know, I've been around. I've seen some of the streamers that have that are having success. Some of them have done it. You know, I don't know how they all do it, but some of them, they're not that entertaining. And then some of them are just like kind of entertaining. And then there are people like, you know, Dr. Disrespect, rest in peace, on Twitch. I don't know how they do on the YouTubes. Hope this is okay to say, Twitch. Sorry, freedom of speech and all. But there are people like him who are incredibly entertaining, but also we're pushing the borders and boundaries of kind of like free expression in some ways, which I'm sure had something to do, you know, with the exodus to YouTube. And now you see like YouTubers, and I'm seeing on now, like you got YouTubers and streaming on Twitch and YouTube. It's like, I thought people used to just stream one or the other. Now they're streaming on both. You know, in my mind, I had it like I stream on Twitch, and then I have the on-demand content on Twitch and YouTube, because YouTube's just been around forever. You know, it's like everybody works with YouTube in some capacity, or almost. You know, unless something else comes out there. You know, and through this whole like trying to establish myself as an entertainer fight, I've come up with some pretty decent ideas for competitive businesses even. And it also makes you wonder, like, how much a monopoly is there in the streaming world? You know, there is YouTube as a streaming source, but there's Facebook, I guess. But like, it's, you know, it's mostly Twitch, huh? And it's like, who's watching Twitch streamers? Is it really only children? Are there no adults watching Twitch streamers? And if they are watching them, are they just watching the girls with all of their bobs, their boobs, their boobies? You know, because let's be honest, that's what makes like the girl streamers popular, right? The fact that they have boobies. I mean, I'm sure they're entertaining. There are entertaining streamers, and some of them are more entertaining than just their boobies. I have to admit. This is still family friendly, right? I'm allowed to say boobies. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, and you gotta take into context of who I am and the content that I produce. So, am I supposed to be streaming for like who? What age range? Oh my goodness. These look like sun chips, miniature sun chips. And it's like, I want to be I want to be myself as a entertainer personality. But at the same time, is it really only about being an entertainer for kids growing up? Because I'll be honest with the kids, at the end of the day, all they want us to say is go to school, get a job, work, blah, 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 blah. You know, and at the same time, even you kids are going to grow up. If you continue gaming, if it's not just a fad for you all, because it's not just a fad for me. I've been doing this a long time. How many of you are going to grow up and want to stick with streamers who've been around a while? And I know some people have been planting their flag, kind of like taking that strategy into context. And I plan on being around, but I don't want to be homeless forever. And it's like all these powers and ideas and these businesses, and it's like how do you get to the point where you just come together and you're like, look, there are times when all this fighting, and maybe this Ukraine war is a good example, where all the fighting is going to have to come to an end at some point. And it's like, how do you get to that point? Is a place like Ukraine going to fully be able to establish its independence? Or are they always going to have to be neighbors with somebody who wants to ruin that independence, And in some ways, it's kind of similar to me. Like, am I always going to be able to, am I going to be able to establish my independence as a business person, as a personality, as an adult, and in a platform? Do I have to create my own website where I stream myself, upload my own content where people can go? Or am I going to be able to work in a positive business relationship and positive community relationship with a company that has made a ton of money, has elevated the careers of so many talented people, have been able to bring exposure to a gaming world that exists, and are they going to be able to do it without creating some kind of war in society? Because there's definitely something going on. I don't know what to call it, but there's something going on where content and entertainment is being used to keep, some sort of synchronization in life going. I like Assassin's Creed. The Tencent Ubisoft deal, I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't see why it's not going to go through, because it seems like, in some ways, a lot of this seems like it could even be related to, sometimes in my situation, like Tencent knowing that there is a lot of potential in some of their games and series with the right people, and it's like Ubisoft had all the opportunity to benefit from me as an artist, and they never followed through, and even if there was espionage and corporate espionage and spying and stream stealing, like even if that was going on, and I truly believe there was that going on, there's years and years and years of people being able to reach out to make a deal, to make something more legitimate and solidified. And it just seems like the right time to try to end conflicts that have been going on. And there's so many people that deserve so many things, but there are some people who are in really unique situations, and I think I'm just in a really unique situation. I went through a lot. I built an idea. Even if it was part of some other people's ideas, I've been producing on that idea. And I really have. And people have done their darndest to try to, I don't know how many people, but some entity or group out there has done their darndest to interfere with my ability to do my art, to fulfill my ideas, and to do the things that I've wanted to do. And I just think it would be really great if finally all this conflict and battling between these different sides could either be resolved through somebody, just stepping up and funding, you know, my journey, and or supplying me with a business contract, and then just kind of like, would it really be that hard to go over the fine details? Some people think it's obvious. It's not obvious. You're in America. There's obvious and not obvious, all in the same thing. Like, you gotta understand, in America, representing as yourself as an individual while also trying to be a part of a community, it's like the most obvious, not obvious thing ever. And then people try to set you up in ways, or they try to like steer you in different directions, and it can be daunting. Some people have been able to handle things better than me, I'm sure, but at the same time, not everybody has the talent or the psychological ability to handle maybe even the stardom, and that's another thing. Handling stardom, handling celebrity status. Maybe I shouldn't even be a celebrity. Maybe I should just produce the content and just be like some secret hidden, kind of like a hidden Assassin's Creed streamer, but like I've been noticeable. Even though that's how it kind of feels sometimes. It's like being like, I don't know. Assassin's Creed isn't the only game I play, obviously. I play a bunch of games, and I've been around so many different games and companies, and I've seen so many different models of gaming. And I'm sure there's a lot more under the hood than even I've known about. But, man, in this part 11, I have so much, there's just, and some of this stuff I've repeated myself, I'm sure, over the years. But there's so much that I want to do. And I was really starting to get into a groove a year ago, before things got really twisted. And trying to ignore people, man. I think ignoring people, and then somebody can be like, well, who is ignored really? Were these people ignored for trying to set people up in the wrong direction? Or was this person ignored because they weren't, taken seriously at the time? Because I think more people take me seriously now when I say that people have been doing criminal activity to fuck with my life. Does that make me popular, or does that make me a target? I don't know. But dear Twitch, I've been around this thing for a while. I'm not interested in being a smelly homeless bum. I don't want to sleep outside. I don't want to have to worry about things like what's going to happen, I don't know how many days in advance I have to, I'm doing the right things, but at the same time, I've been doing the right things for a long time. I was the first one in my family to even get a 4-year college degree. I've been having, I've had my first job while I was still in high school. Some of these people are like, he's a bum because he doesn't work. Man, I've been working. I've went to school. I did it while dealing with certain, mental kind of conditions. And who knows what other, industrial complexes were involved. Have I trash talked in gaming over the years? Yeah, and there are a lot of other people have, and I think there are positive ways that both, and not even Twitch, like there are other honestly, I'm technically a free agent. Other people can step up and be like, let's build something around them. I even tried to start an idea with MySpace. No offense, Twitch, but like, am I supposed to be like scheduled in to make an earning and an income? Do are people like just scheduled? Oh, they're gonna make money during these years because we're making so much money. not everybody else needs to make money. Only certain people need to make money for our company. So we're going to schedule these people to make money, and then these people can make money if they're still around. You know, I don't, you know, I think I'm scheduled in to make an earning and an income. And I don't think I have to do other types of work in order to do that. I think I'm scheduled in to make a full-time kind of like earnings, something that can actually legitimately support me. And I think it would be a great way to solidify the future of what you want this whole gaming experience to be. And it would be a great way to I don't know, take the right step forward in for someone's career. I don't know how long I could do this. Who knows what gaming is going to be 10 years from now. Maybe we're all going to plug into the Matrix, and gaming will be a completely different experience. But right now, gaming is being done a certain way. And I definitely want to be a part of this as an actual employed or income earning individual. Because I don't want people to say, like, oh, it's just a hobby. Honestly, I don't want people to just make it seem like I'm wasting my time doing something that has no end result in the world of capitalism and finance, or work and income. So, you know, I think if the correct investment was made, you'd see a lot of positive content come out of my space of the internet. I really believe that. I think you saw a lot of it through Assassin's Creed. The development of my mukbang style, which really, if people go back and look through my old Assassin's Creed videos, there is so much gold, like gold nugget content related to just the food. You don't even have to, not even taking into account all the conspiracy theory stuff that was going on. The food content alone, so much gold. Anyway, has this been silent the whole time? It better not have been. I hope not. I've just been talking this whole time. Man, this is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Here I am, talking about my entire kind of like thing on Twitch, eating food, delicious mukbang food. I don't know how long the mic's been messed with like that, but it pisses me off. I'm gonna say it once. It's fucking assholes. You truly suck ass. That's the best I can do. Sorry, but it just is. I'm over here saying my piece. If the mic was on the whole time, then I don't know what to say. Maybe it just turned off and on real quick. Maybe I should just redo the stream. Then again, I already been eating my food. I hope you got to hear me eating. That's what some people like. This is kind of what I'm referring to, though. Like, somebody's out there trying to mess with people's heads who are trying to do a good thing. Now I feel like I have to go over everything I just said again. This is probably going to be one of the most boring streams ever. Here's what I'm gonna say in a nutshell. In a nutshell, sign me to a contract, a business contract, because it's the right thing to do. I've been a part of this thing since affiliate days. I've been through a lot of shit related to being a gamer, and people who are a part of this gaming world know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a ton of people who want to make money doing this kind of thing. I get it. But you know what? Yeah, I'm sure I could do radio content. But here's the thing. Here's the reality. I'm a gamer. I'm good at playing games. And I'm even entertaining at doing it. I really am. That's just the reality. I'm actually good at playing video games. That's my thing. I'm not incapable of doing it either. You know, what I need is I need people to support this dream. It has been a dream. Not a dream just to be a streamer, but a career in the form of income. Something to legitimize not just a journey for myself, but a journey for people who are also going to want to be streamers, because there are other people who are going to want to be streamers. I mean, what are you going to do? Pick a bunch of people and just force those few people to stream their entire lives? Man. This is probably the worst rough draft open mic that I've ever done. I had no plan for this. The only plan that I had for today's stream was that I was going to eat food and say something about Twitch. That's really it. Of course, we're going to play a little Assassin's Creed Rebellion. And man, wouldn't it be great if Jade came out? Or wouldn't it be great if I streamed Jade as kind of like an exclusive early access? Oh, that would be cool. But I'll be honest with you. Something's got to end the fighting. The war of what it means to be a gamer, streamer, employed, income earning, like this whatever it is, I don't know. Maybe I should just redo this stream. Should I redo this stream? I'm gonna redo this stream. You know what I also realize? People have great ideas, and they transmit their great ideas to people's brains to be able to have them kind of like express their ideas. It's like some people have good ideas, and then they share their good ideas to other people's brains to see how, I guess entertaining people can express good ideas. Oh man, this has been a disaster stream. Well, not just that. It's just boring. It's boring. It's uninteresting. Blah 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 blah. But you know what? In a lot of ways, that's how this has felt. Honestly, maybe this is a good example. This is exactly how it's felt. We all know that there's gaming content. We all know that I'm entertaining. We all know that the potential for fun is there. And here I am, just going blah, 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 about something that blah, 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 that nobody, that $1 billion industry doesn't really want to talk about, right? Paying gamers to play games? But this is really how it's felt. I've been doing this gaming thing, this streaming thing, this internet personality thing for a while, and it's like it is fun. I know the content's there. I know there's a lot of entertainment to be had, and at the same time, it's just like, well, when is it gonna translate into income? When is it gonna translate into something more than just a hobby? You know, if somebody's playing hide the money, then somebody needs to just find a way to end it, man. If somebody's playing mess with the streamer, too many times has that game been played. You know, maybe it's just time. Like, give me a chance. Give me a chance to be the person that I want to be with not having to worry about money. You know, let me put it this way: when things like the NFL, when like the NFL and the NHL and the MLB, you know, when it all started, you know, those athletes made like a lot of money back in the day, but as time went on, athletes started making more and more money, and like the minimum amount of money that players made ended up being like some of the maximum contracts back in the original day. Like this gaming thing's been going on for so long that you know, people that average income, the income aspect, you know, there should be some kind of standard or level for people, you know. I don't want to be a homeless bum. I don't want to be a smelly homeless bum. But this is my passion. This is my dream. This is my, you know, and it's not the only dream I have. I have other dreams as well. Let me make it very clear. Like, this has been one of my dreams. I have had other dreams not work out as well, but I'm tired of not, you know, this is something I can still pursue. You know, my dream of being a professional NHL player, I don't think that's going to be possible anymore. You know, growing up, I wanted to be a professional hockey player, and I got, you know, I did pretty good, and I played for a long time, but it really never turned into a professional thing. You know, and I don't want to work as, you know, I want to do something where I'm good at something. And I know that I'm good at video games. I know that I've got something with this food eating content. Something's there. You can't deny that. Is every time I eat food going to be amazing? I don't know. To some people it might be, and to other people it might be, eh. And I think all the people who defend every little, you know, everything that goes on, every decision, every moment that happens, I thank you, the people who defend me on everything. Thank you. Loyal, dedicated fans. And I appreciate that. You know, I just, you know, I think there are a lot of people who interfered with something that could have been much better early on. And I think now's a really good time to turn this into something that can be really good now. And you know, you would be really really shocked and surprised. And maybe it's not so shocking to some people, but if good things started happening to me like that, I wonder, you know, sometimes it seems like bad things in the world have happened because people have been doing bad things related to this journey, trying to turn it into something that it isn't. And it's like if people started doing the good things that I'm trying to do, you know, would it translate into the greater world? You know, wouldn't it be ironic? I get a business deal or I get some kind of income opportunity related to this thing, some kind of livable income where I can like support myself with you know, my own my own living quarters, and then things like the war in Ukraine ends. You know, how amazing would that be? And somehow Russia and Ukraine find a way to appreciate their differences. And then who knows, maybe the whole Palestinian Israel situation starts to improve. Wouldn't that be great? You know, and I might be Jewish. You know, I might not be a religious. You know, I'm not like done the religious thing. Might not be like the biggest religious person. Really not religious at all. I really, you know, but I am Jewish. You know, I was raised Jewish. I've done Jewish rites of passage, and there's a part of that will always be with me. So even if I'm representing a part of Judaism that is truly different than all the other parts of Judaism, man, then so be it. But I want to see a positive resolution to the state of Israel. I want to see a positive resolution to me as an American individual. I want to see a positive. I don't want war. You got trade wars going on. You got real wars going on, and it's like it's all about making what point. You know, there's different ways of being. More. There's more than one way to be right in society. Like a lot of people can be right. I think America was supposed to be a place where more than one idea is correct. And the freedom to be able to live out a correct idea that fits who you are is important. You know, I want America to continue to exist as a place of independence and freedom, not just for community, but for individuals as well, for the minorities. I don't want it to turn into a purge fest. You know, man, what a rant session this has been. This has been like the most weird, like I don't even know awkward, but like this has been such a weird stream. I think I'm just gonna restart. I'm gonna start fresh and just do some straight gaming. And then that'll be that for today. And then Friday I'll be back. I don't know. Maybe I'll be speaking in German on Friday. Ja, that's good. German, ja, Germany. And in an ironic way, it's the German people who understand the struggle of a Jewish person. I mean, I don't, in a very, very weird way. A weird example, but like, Germany might understand, what it's like for a Jewish person to struggle via business and discrimination. I mean, and I'm not trying to be negative to Germany, but like, the Holocaust was a big deal, and Germany is doing great. Germany isn't suffering an infinite punishment because of it, right? And this is another interesting thing I find in the world. There are the ideas of punishment where like a person can lose their entire life because they kill somebody, right? Someone murders somebody, they go to jail forever. And then there are these these movements or these wars that occur, and tons of people die, and and Germany is doing, they're actually doing pretty good. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to demean Germany at all or anything like that, but you know, Germany is a good example of how, I don't know, they're a good example of how you can not be an original thing that was, whatever it was that happened from the Nazi era, like they didn't end up continuing to be that. They're not that same kind of like Nazi thing. Germany was something before the Nazis existed too. The Nazi Party. Germany existed well before the Nazi Party did. But like, they've seen Jewish kind of like discrimination, persecution. And to say that Jewish persecution hasn't occurred in the online world, I think would be, I think it would be a dishonest thing to say, because even on the Twitch website, I've seen things where they dedicate groups or communities for Christian groups, for, African American groups, I think even Hispanic or Latino. I don't see anything about Judaism, So, for people in the Jewish community to also have success in this gaming world, why not? What's wrong with Jewish people? I'm not even like your typical Jewish, and that's the best part. Like, I'm not even a typical Jewish person. I'm like, I'm an open-minded Jew. And like what, like a perfect combination for the internet. The internet is full of like open-mindedness to a certain degree, right? But I'm not trying to make it about being Judaist though. Like, I'm a gamer. I'm probably more a gamer than I am Jewish at this point. You know. And I'm sorry if anybody gets offended at the word Judaism, and I'm sorry for people who think that there's atrocities going on in regards to the whole Jewish Palestinian thing. But let's be honest, there are atrocities from all your pasts. Look at Catholic past, the amount of death and murder. Christianity has so much death and murder associated with it. Even Buddhists had warring periods. You know what I mean? Like the Buddhists, of all people, even they fought and had wars. So many past atrocities from so many different groups that have been around. Things will get better. I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I think I'm going to end this commentary, and then I'm going to restart the stream, and I'm just going to game for probably about 45 minutes or so. 40 minutes. Not too much. Probably just gain some rewards. Maybe do a couple missions. I gotta rank up the players, the assassins. I gotta keep ranking them up before we continue the main storyline. The food today was alright. The popcorn was good. Beef jerky was okay. Maybe that was my problem. Maybe I needed to pick better food options for this to be really great. I don't know. This was like a... This has been your NPR rant commentary of gamer ranting about gaming and life and whatever. This has been wonderful. This has been great. Totally boring. Nobody wants to hear this, right? If I could get the mic to work while I'm playing the video game, I could probably provide way more content for you. But for whatever reason, this Twitch app just doesn't do it while I'm playing the game. I don't know why. I have no idea why. In a weird way, this is kind of exactly what I expected. My stream about Twitch was nothing but awkward, long drawn out, full of needless and important information. I mean, in some ways, you could say it's been the last 6 years in a nutshell. We had some of the things that we wanted, like the food, but we also had a lot of unnecessary, just boring stuff that just drawn itself out for just a really long time. I doubt anybody's going to actually listen to this. Maybe some people will. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't think the people who know what to tell me to send their little Bluetooth information waves, I don't even think they know what to say anymore. Everybody's so great and wonderful, and also there's so many people who are just like, am I depressed? Is this what depression is? Is this is this is this depression? Have you done it? I think you all did it. I think you all made me depressed. I'm depressed, so I've depressed other people. My goodness. What have I done? Like are my emotions, do they really transmit that kind of energy and effect? I mean, if that's the case, wouldn't it be better just to make me happy and then my happiness transmits to other people? I know some of the things that make me happy aren't what some of you prefer, but let's be honest. If there are things that make me happy within the realm of protected, if there are legitimate things that can make me happy, and they might not be your cup of tea, but if my happiness radiates to other people regardless of how I feel happy, like, and if other people feel happy because of that, wouldn't isn't it just better for me to be happy instead of trying to like turn me into a frustration, depression, raging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, we're happy. We're all, the emotions are all over the place today. Maybe it really was the food. I mean, it wasn't bad. It says it's vegan. Is this what it's like to be a vegan? Oh gosh. Ugh. You know what? On Friday, we're gonna get some really delicious stuff that I know I'm gonna enjoy, and I know you're going to enjoy, and I'm probably gonna be speaking in a different language yet, because that was honestly kind of fun. Although I'm sure I did a very poor job at translating, or I was given very awful linguistic translation. I don't know. Whatever it was, I did my best. Probably something everybody enjoyed. I've been ranting like this for like over an hour now. This has got to be the most boring stream ever, right? Can anybody else get away with this? Am I the only person that can get away with these kind of streams? Is this still considered content? Am I still adorable? As the smelly homeless bum, am I still adorable? Am I adorable only from a distance? Am I adorable up close? Will I ever find love? Should I ever find love? Will life be nothing but an endless series of psychological impulse neuron transmitting experience? Like, I don't know where to end. I don't know where to end. Where does it all end? When does it all end? Is this the digital afterlife? Is this what it's like? Is this what happens when you die digitally? It just goes on and on and on about all the things that could have been or should have been or was supposed to be. Welcome to purgatory. You know what? You know what? That's exactly what this is. I was placed in some kind of digital purgatory, and that's what this stream is all about. On part 11 of the Dear Twitch stream is this is what digital purgatory might feel like. So if you're somebody who's interested in the experience of a digital purgatory, this is kind of what it must be like. All right, I'm gonna restart the stream for people who are watching live. For people who aren't watching live, there's a second part to this, and we're just gonna get some quick grinding in, because in my little studio here, I have a limited amount of time, and then I'm probably gonna jump on. I'm probably gonna continue streaming. I'll probably play some World of Tanks, Blitz. Maybe we'll play some Hearthstone. Maybe some Wild Rift. You know who's been doing this digital gaming thing for a while? That Faker guy. You know, big gamer. I guess he does it all. Does he do it all? Has he ever done console? Has Faker ever console gamed? If not, we got that on him. All right. Thank you so much for enjoying this wonderful Purgatory episode. I hope Purgatory is over. Maybe we needed to do a Purgatory episode to end the Purgatory. I don't know. This is a weird book of chapters. Hi, this is Moose. I may or may not have been depressed. I may still be or may not. I don't know. Emotions, freedom, individualism, America, ole. All right. I'll see you in the next part of this. All right. Have a good one. Bye. I'm sorry this was so boring and purgatory-ish. Bye. I'm sorry this was like purgatory. Bye. I'll see you in the next part. All right. Bye. Bye-bye.